All right. Hello, everybody. ER Wolf here with Elify. And I'm so excited because this is another one of our Elify interview episodes. And I can't tell you how much I am excited to have this one individual on because I know he has had such an impact in our lives and in our business. And I truly look at him as a mentor to us. And specifically, I want to talk about, he could talk about so many different topics. I was chatting with you earlier, but there's one topic that I know has a massive impact in somebody going from where they are to where they want to get to, from failure to success, and that is mindset. And so the guy we're going to be talking to today is somebody that truly talks about the power of mindset and what it means to have the mindset of a champion. And that's your and my friend, Michael Ray here. So Michael Ray Newman, thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to have you on. And Guy, I'll hand it over to you as we get things started.
Hey, just like you are saying.
Hold on a second.
Hold on
a second. Can you see me? Hey man, where's the applause meter, dude? That was such a great intro. At least I need some. We got to go get the recording, get the drop for that. That's great, man. It made me feel good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we appreciate it. We appreciate it. And like everyone that is here to learn from you, Michael Ray, you know, we see you as a big brother, as a mentor of us, really have helped us with mindset. And ER had mentioned it can drop a wealth of knowledge on all of us. ER's even rocking his Life by Design shirt, and then the WIT in there, whatever it takes, all the different acronyms. We amp ourselves up, attitude, moment, process every day. So, you know, from us to you, we appreciate you. We're just excited to be able to bring you on and let everyone else learn about Michael Ray, the man, the myth, the legend. Probably men want to be him, women want to be with him type thing. Our good friend Michael Ray, thanks for being on.
Man, dude, I can't even tell you, both you guys, I just really, that blows me up. I'm definitely probably not going to live up to the hype. And it's only hard till you learn it, right? And I'm not going to give you anything you probably don't already know, but I really am sincerely grateful for the opportunity anytime pouring to you guys, your community, what you guys have built. And I really do look at you guys like little brothers, man. I'm excited. It's right up my alley doing this, the small business growth and blowing it up. We've been able to build, buy, and sell companies over the last 35 years now, probably a little more. I don't want to tell you all that, but I mean, I've learned how not to do it. That's the most important thing. And then being humble enough to go ahead and eat that humble pie when you need to in front of somebody. And if you make a mistake, just get in front of it. That is the best thing and the reason I'm saying that right now is because I'm pretty transparent. You know, my daughter or my son or anybody, I make a mistake, I'm the first person to raise my hand, get in front of it, tug on their shirt tail and say, hey man. And that's the way that's a good way to clear your mind anyway, and always have a path forward, is being able and humble enough and grateful enough to realize when you are in greatness, like in front of you guys. I mean, you guys live it, you drink it. I mean, I only validated because we educate and validate. Everybody that's going to hear this are going to educate and validate. I start most of my talks off like that. But you guys, when we got together and connected, the reason it went so fast and it was so easy is because you didn't learn a lot. I mean, you may learn a little bit of, you know, AMP and some acronyms, that just stuff that we put on it. But what you did, more than educating, you validated what you already live. Yeah. And that is powerful. And sometimes we validate bad ways too, right? Like, ooh, I do that. I probably should change that. And that's a good thing, but that's because your ego's low enough. And when you keep your ego in check, your character keeps your ego in check, confidence goes up, pressure goes down, and we're able to really learn and move forward. So I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, Michael Ray, I'll probably use the acronym MRN. It's an easy one that we say all the time. I'm going to use those interchangeably throughout today. But were you always this way, or what's the story? What's the background? Where did you start along your journey, and what did it take to get to where you are?
And that right there is the best question you could lead off with. And I'm going to have to be careful not telling you about it and not telling you the whole story, but I learned everything I need to know by the time I was 10. I'm not even playing. I had the cheat sheet of fantastic parents, not perfect parents. I had grandparents that were awesome. I had coaches that I played for when I was little that were really mean and sucked. and I had teachers telling me I was going to fail, but I also had teachers and coaches and mentors that told me I could do anything I wanted to. And that right there, I think, is where I get to up a little bit on people. My mom, mom and dad got married because of, guess who? This guy, right? She was in high school still. He just graduated. They did something backwards there. But the wisdom that they had and what they poured into me was profound, I believe. And I could tell you so many cool things, but my last name is Newman, Newman. When I was 8 years old, there's three really pivotal stories, but this one I just started telling. We were picking up cans on the side of the road when I was little with my dad. We'd do it on Saturday mornings. He worked all week. My mom and I would pick up a few cans during the week because you get money for cans, right? Sell them, bag them up, turn them in. Well, we were definitely in a situation we need some extra money. So he woke me up in the morning. We took off out and we're on the side of the highway picking up cans. And he says, Michael Ray, do you know your last name? And I was 8. And I said, yeah, Dad, it's Newman. Of course I know my last name. What are you doing? He goes, no. It's really 2 words. And you got to understand the meaning of it. It's new and man. And what that means to you is no matter how bad of a day you have when you get older, no matter how bad you messed up, no matter how big of a failure that you feel that you are, when you wake up in the morning, son, you're going to be a new man. No matter how old you get, you're going to be a new man, new chance, new opportunity, and new things that you can learn and make things right. So and what he was saying to me now that I've validated, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. So I always told that to everybody. I'm a new man, NEWMAN, new man. No matter how old I get, I'm always going to be a new man. But what he was really telling me right there is that failure is something you're going to do, but it's not who you are. So when it comes to that mindset, I understand, and like I said earlier, just didn't know we were going to talk about this, but that I get in front of it early. You wake up in the morning, go to bed. Failure is an event. It's not a person. It's okay. Now, what people are going to remember you by, and this is what I told my daughter, and she just the results have been amazing. I can't wait to share with you guys personally. But people are going to remember how you respond to what the failure that you did. People are going to remember they might remember what you did, but they're going to remember how you handled it. They're going to remember how you got in front of it. And that's going to be the building blocks for your character. So I did have a cheat sheet growing up, man. That and my mom telling me I can do pretty much anything if I want to put the work in. And this is something, I'll tell you this real quick and I'll move on. My dad also did this for me one day. When I was 10 years old, I had a very bad, I was dyslexic and dysgraphia, and I couldn't read very well. Back then, they had no idea what it was. I just had to cheat my way through, right? My dad handed me a book one day, and it had, on the front of that book, it had Heart of a Champion. And he probably knew I couldn't read very well, but he handed it to me. And he highlighted 3 stories. And he said, I want you to read this book, son. So when my dad, the guy I looked up to, right? The guy that told me I could do anything, want to put the work in, and you're a new man, failure's not who you are, it's what you do. All that kind of stuff he was inadvertently telling me. He didn't know. He wasn't some guru. The dude barely graduated high school. He went and played basketball in college and then quit after I came along. The dude had no idea. He's trying to figure it out. So when he handed me that book, Heart of a Champion, what was he telling me? Son, you have the heart of a champion. Because I was undersized, and that's not a coincidence now that I look back on it, that for all of the major teams I played on when I got older, I got the heart award. So the people that you pour into, your internal customers and your external customers as small business owners, I run it like a family. And I'm not saying that we don't fire and hire, because we do. But you hold up people to a standard that we coach to. This is the standard. I believe in you. This is what I know you can do. You're here for a reason, but you've also got to inspect what you expect. So that's kind of just a tidbit, man. We don't have a lot of time, I know, so I'm trying to taper my enthusiasm back.
I mean, we can go on and on because of the stories that you have and just the knowledge that you can drop on us and anyone who's watching this. I think really speaks to your experiences. And that's a lot of what we try to do here, over at Elify is try to give people experiences and know that what they're going through, they're not the only one that's ever gone through that. And I think just seeing that from your upraising and how you've gone about business, speak to, yes, your mindset, you have a can't lose mentality. How do you get there? How do you tell these other individuals that are going to be watching this that exactly failure is just an event? It's not you, it's not your life, but how do people get their mindset to that to know, this person just said no to me on a sales call. This person just said that my products weren't what I said they were. How do those type of people get past those type of failures or those no's?
I think it comes back to discipline in a lot of ways. And it's the things that we always do. Those small little disciplines you have. I think that, oh man, you hear making the phone calls, you got to go the extra phone call, taking the extra one. I mean, it's a learned skill set, a learned discipline. When you ask them, how do they get past those challenges? Motivation, I promise you, won't last. Right. That's why it's kind of like what you heard Zig Ziglar say, man, it's like taking a bath. You got to do it every day. You're going to start stinking, right? But he's talking about stinking thinking. So I think in the beginning, when we're young, you have to create the disciplines that we have to do it. And the discipline for me comes, and we're going to talk about this probably later too, because I lean into it so hard, is the process that I lean into. I like getting excited. I pour into myself daily motivational. I do. I take a lot of motivation baths, right? Because I get mad at myself and I talk bad about myself to myself, and then I flip the script and I beat myself up in a good way. So I think that the daily disciplines that I've been able to develop by using things like AMP, you can't hit a target you can't see. I mean, it's like coaching to the target, like I talk about the standard that we try to hit. All those disciplines, you got to remember those. That's not just lip service. That is, I live it. I drink the Kool-Aid on it. When I say you got to reset the 4 R's, reset, restructure, refocus, relaunch, what does that mean? That means in the moments, this is what you got to do, is you got to play in this moment. That came from a time in my life when I was period, not business, but just life. It had me in a bad position. But I had to play in every single moment. And I was having conversations that my bad negative conversation or what I was worried about, I was carrying to the next conversation. And when you start doing that, that negativity creeps in. And then when you can feel it, you project it, right? So this thing right here called AMP, attitude, moment, and process. You got to set back after every conversation, reset yourself, dump that off, restructure where you need to go. And you got to refocus. How does this look? And then relaunch yourself into hey, how you doing? What's up, guys? It doesn't matter what I was doing before this call. You guys are the most important thing right now. Because what happens? The negative things that happened in the past, people telling you you're not good enough, not being able to do it. Somebody tells you, what are you doing trying to sell this? What are you doing trying to build this business? You're an idiot. Your parents, your wife, your spouse, whoever's saying that kind of stuff. You can carry that with you. You won't be around for 2 seconds. Or you can put that aside and you can play in this space right here. How can I be the best person I can be right now? So really quickly, attitude, moment, and process. If they'll write this down, guys, this really has helped me. The 4 R's, the restructure, reset, refocus, relaunch. We can get into that later. It's kind of a longer thing, but this real quick, you can take this with you right now. Mm-hmm. You can't control the past. You can't. It's over. I say don't look back. I like to look back for perspective. I like to look back and reminisce on the good things. But when I look back at the negative stuff, I don't go, God, man, I was such an idiot. I can't do it because they said I can do it. I got up in front of those 5,000 people and I spit the bit. It really happened. Now, I can walk up and stay in that when I got to go do my next thing. Guess what I'm going to be? I'm going to be back there. And I also can't control the future. I can't control if I crush it, but I can control where I am right now. Attitude, I can control my attitude today, can't I? In this moment, reset, restructure. I control the moment. I know I can control this moment. That's it. And the process, that's the key. That's where the disciplines come from. Those daily disciplines is the process. Attitude, moment, and process. Because, and I use this analogy real quick, guys, with the basketball player. Watching the greats, they can go 0 for 10 the first half and then go 10 for 10 the second half and shoot the winning bucket at the buzzer because they don't worry about the 0 for they just had. They don't care about it. And they don't even care if that last shot goes in to win the game. They don't care about that. Think about you taking that free throw shot. I know you guys have been on the line in the past. Yeah, that pucker factor, right? Oh, I got to make this. I got to make this. We don't do it. What do? We focus on the process. The disciplines that you've done thousands of times, the muscle memory is what they focus on. My feet facing the basket. Do I have my good knee pad? My elbow in? Am I holding my shot? Can I see the rim? That's what you focus on. That we don't. And if it goes in, you're a winner, baby, every time. But if you can't, here's what's going to happen: play the odds. Most of the time, if you follow your process, play in the moment, and have the right attitude, we're going to win. Just like I've said this 100 times, if I work 80 hours, you work 40, I'm going to win. Not because the time invested is going to be great, but it's the kind of time that I put in. I'm going to be learning. I'm going to be educating because I'm playing in this moment. Because what happens when the big moment comes for these little moments, we're ready.
Oh, first of all, my mind is blown, Michael Ray. Already, just in this short amount of time, the amount of gold nuggets that you guys are hearing right now from this man is life changing, in my opinion. Is life changing, and here's why, guys. I think about knowledge, I think about skills, and I think about tools that I'm acquiring, I'm adopting, and I'm implementing. And the key thing there that Michael, you said, is discipline. When I think about discipline, it's putting in the daily reps. If I learn a new skill, it's not like the skill pays off for me tomorrow. It pays off over time, putting it in again and again and again. And to your point, developing the muscle memory so that I'm not looking at the results in inevitability. Now I expect it to result because the muscle memory is in there, because I took all of those tools, the knowledge and the skills, like whether it's the acronym AMP or some of the other like 4 R's that you're going to talk about and stuff like that, and I start putting them into practice. And then I practice them daily. And Guy and I laugh sometimes because we see these people who they reset on an annual basis, right? It's early March 3rd here when we're recording this. Okay, January 1st, I'll reset. Then at some point they start doing like a quarterly reset. They're like, oh, I can actually reset non-annually, or maybe a monthly reset. You get down to like a weekly reset or a daily reset. What we're talking about with AMP is literally an action by action or a moment by moment ability to reset so that you can go into the next action already ready to run your process. So thank you so much for just sharing that. Guy, I know you've got a bunch of other questions for MRN, so go ahead, my friend.
Knowing Michael and knowing his story and spending time with him is something we've had the luxury to be able to do. And just
the pain or the
sitting here and just being able to talk with you and to have other people see Michael here is just another person, but his mindset is above and beyond your average person. We know a lot of your backstory and know that you've experienced hardships and challenges in your life. And we're talking mindset. How did you, or how do you, because obviously those were times that you learned and grew in that process, but how did you stay motivated, like in hardships for anybody? What helped Michael Ray get through some hardships?
Man, I think it was my experiences in the past, and it was the little disciplines that you had that you've given. But you have to make a decision, I think, and this is what's really important when you talk about how you get through it or how do you keep the right kind of mindset. Because here's the deal, man. We all have. You cannot not be negative on yourself. It's human nature, right? I don't know how to even say it a better way. It's just I walk in front of the mirror sometime and like, what the hell? Where did this come from? I'm like that. And then it sticks with you. You're like, man, that's not how I look in my mirror in my face. I'm like, dude, I'm not this age, and those negative creep. I mean, I'm just like everybody else. My insecurities are the same. They're just like yours. The shortcomings are the same. They're just like yours. But when you have been through hell and come out of it on the other side, I mean, I was having a conversation yesterday with a young lady who is an awesome realtor, but she's just had negative after negative thing happen to her. And she's real positive. She's very successful, 8-figure earner personally. She's done so well. But lately she's had some things that have downturn. And I don't surround myself with that. I have to protect my mindset now. Because a little bit of me goes a long way. To you guys, it really goes a long way in my head. If I, let myself fall back into those things that you guys have known that I've gone through, man, I disappear. You won't see me. And that can't happen because of those little disciplines. But here's what it's a stop. It's a hard stop if you guys want to keep continue your mindset. When first of all, when you get momentum, keep it. And anybody that sees this, I want you to know this right now. First of all, you need to think bigger. You guys aren't thinking big enough. You two aren't. I'm not, but you guys aren't. I mean, and me being an outsider looking in and an insider also sometimes with you guys, I see it. We've got more to do. You can go bigger. And as a person, there's that little voice in the back of your head. It's got a little powerful, it's a big power over us, but how to continue that mindset after you got it, you got going momentum. Number one, keep it if you got it. And how can I go bigger? How can I go bigger? When you get in within reach of that goal, you better set the next one. We got to start looking for that next opportunity, the next thing. And how can I level up? It's always about leveling up, because it's true. If you're stopped, you're going backwards. You heard that old saying or whatever it is. That really is true. Limit the people the negative people you're around. That's number two. Limit the negative people you're around. You can't you can't deal with that, man. That's not coming around here. And this lady I've been coaching, and so I'm going to be around her. Never heard her say anything negative. She goes, well, but we'll be okay. Or, something happened to this loved one. This deal was like this. And then it's in my mind, it was a mental, put your heels in the ground and stand up and say, we ain't going there. My mind, we ain't going there, because something happened. I'd lost a deal and a couple of things on the back end. So I had kind of a stinking thinking day. And I'm like, man, I'm restructuring my 4 R's to her. I get to her and I'm going good with it. And then she throws that negative vibe on me. And I'm just like, we ain't having that. I said, Francis, we ain't having that. How do we get past that? How do we stand up from that right now? How do we stand up from those things? Oh, yeah, well, I'm going to get through it. Well, it's going to get good. Well, I'm okay for a Wednesday. I said, bull crap. We ain't doing that. How do we right now flip the script and stand up? What can we do positive right now? And tell me 3 wins you've had today. Oh, well, brush my teeth. Boom, that's one. Let's go. What else you got? And what you do there, guys, is you got to do it to yourself to keep the mindset. You have to upset your status quo. Yeah. That's when you're open for learning and, more importantly, retention.
I think, man, I just can't say enough, guys. Like, just the truth that's coming out here of what this man is speaking. If you aren't listening, you are missing out. Can you speak? I've got two thoughts. One is on continuing to be a student, to always be learning. And if you can give us some insight, because obviously you've learned a lot and you've got a lot of wisdom over all your years of experience. Would you be a little bit sarcastic here? Would you say you've stopped learning, or is that, what's the process to always be learning? That's my first question. And a follow-up to that, I'm a firm believer of the daily practice that you talked about. Is there a daily method of operation or sort of a routine that you typically go through when you're starting your day or kicking off your day or moving or scheduling your day? Because it's not the world's problems doesn't get solved in one day. It's sort of that whole progression of all the days added up together that equals the result. So those two things, one on just learning and then implementing what you learn, and the routine.
Well, I can tell you what I do now is way different than what I was doing when I was building businesses and sold them for big, multi-million dollars, period. I can say, hey, man, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I hit the gym. I pour into my mind. I take care of myself physically and mentally and spiritually. And then I jump in when it's cold here in Texas, like right now, I jump in that pool for 3-4 minutes. I've been doing that for a long time, long before everybody else is, by the way. And that's true, but that's bull crap. Okay. I'm glad you need that. If you want to have longevity, if you really want to live a life by design, baby, and I believe it. I believe it. I'm not just going to read a book and then start, we got to move the big rocks, get the right people on the seat of the bus. That stuff is fact. That is fact. Don't think it's not. So I do educate myself continually. But more importantly, I put it in play. Yeah. And I'm going to say, let me tell you what I did, bro. I put the right person on the bus and they freaking wrecked that thing. And let me tell you how they did it. But what I learned, what I can extract from that is, number one, finished is better than perfect. You've heard me say that till we're broke, right? Like a broken record. You got to get it out there. And you said it earlier, ER, when you were talking about, AMP, inputting AMP. That is so hard the trust process for me to input it. I lived it. So it's a lot easier for me because if you're trying to say, okay, I learned POGO or AMP or, reset, restructure, refocus. I learned all these today, so I'm going to go out and put them in play. The reason our life process, our sales training process, which is second to none, myself and Edwin with EGI and Edge Global, is trust. And it would have been I'm telling you, I still would be trying to learn it if it didn't educate, validate, right? One day when I was with Ed, when he was teaching it, I educated myself because I'd already lived it, but I validated I've already lived it. I don't just do it in sales. I do it in everything I do in my life. So try to really read. Ed, I listen a lot, and sometimes like the 12-week year, which I recommend, I do both read and listen. But I mean, always having something positive going in your mind and background, that's super important. I mean, podcasts that are, also schedule a time away where you can just decompress and have fun and go sit on the beach, right? And have those kind of vacations. But number one, you asked me how I do both long term. I do have a routine. I get up every morning to do the same thing. But I'll tell you, there's a time when I was working 24/7 and it was work, pass out, get up 4 hours and outwork them, right? But then I've been able to do it smarter and harder now because my engine runs a little hotter. But I also start doing things for me, pointing me, having a little self-care, what all that people call it nowadays. But bottom line, I've done it. I've lived it and it works. And I know that, like I said earlier, people aren't going big enough. Having that moments in my mind earlier today in the physical thing lets me go bigger, lets me do more. And when I read something, educate, I put it in play as fast as I can. And then I'll tell you, I wreck or win, right? I can tell you that sucked or didn't, but I iterate on it, and then it's sticky. It's hard. That's how you make it sticky, is put it in play. And that's how, and I will not stop learning. And I think the way I do that is building companies, being able to help other people, and just making it count.
I think the key that I just picked up, guys, and it's the action. It's taking what you learn and putting it into play. Like Michael Ray, you're just talking about it, right? Knowledge by itself is useless unless you leverage it. And so there's so many different things that we can be learning from individuals just like yourself. But if you've learned something, if you've been watching this thus far and you've picked up some tips, don't just store them in the memory bank. You know what I mean? Invest them in yourself and put them into action and start doing those things. Now, I know we're not going to be able on today's call in this interview to cover every nuance, MRN, of things like your 4Rs or the trust process or all of these other things. And I know, people are going to want to connect with you and maybe even get learn a bit more about Mindset of a Champion and Edge Global and all of those types of things. So we'll make sure that we make that information available to everybody, so you can link up with Michael Ray and everything that he's about. But let's talk a little bit more about really. I almost want to ask about like 4Rs because you mentioned them earlier. If you don't mind, let's talk about that. Let's sort of leave them with just the teaser of 4Rs, and then any other sort of acronyms you want to throw out there that you think are important for people to learn, but maybe we don't have the time to address.
Right, and just to that point of being able, I'll spend 15 minutes with anybody. If you guys are going to set a time, and I will, sometimes I have to do it at 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, but I'm okay with it if you are, right? Because one thing that Edwin and I do, really and truly, I make the commitment to meet you where you are. We ain't going to mess around. And it's kind of like, God will meet you exactly where you are when you need it the most sometimes, but don't wait for that. You can do a lot yourself, right? That's what you have to do, because we're all designed for accomplishment. We're engineered for success. You're endowed with the seeds of greatness. Now it's up to you to cultivate those seeds within yourself. You don't just sit back. Yeah, God's giving me this, because I promise you, God did not make you to suck. Period. He did. And I'll tell you the 4Rs where he didn't say, okay, you're good, oh, you're good, you're bad. Now, different things are going to happen to us because it's people. It doesn't mean that we're cursed. It doesn't mean we're blessed. It's just our time to deal with it. And 4Rs came to me, ER, when you guys kind of knew. I was in a bad place personally when I met you guys. I know I talked. I don't even know what I did, if I talked about it, or if I didn't, or how it went. But every conversation, I was behind every day, all day. I get up earlier than everybody. I stay up later than everybody. I went through my routines and it was just numb. But I'll tell you, if I hadn't have kept my disciplines, I don't know where I would have been. And my faith, when neutral, I lost my brother, which is not just my brother. Everybody loses a brother. I know. Oh, I'm sorry. I appreciate that and everything. It's great. But he was not only my brother, business partner. Our construction company just hit 30 years this year. He had 2 sons. My mom and dad live next door. My daughter's building her house on the other side of it. My other brother lives 3 miles away. This whole community's got Newmans running all over it. And that was life, but we designed it that way. And we were beach vacations and things happened to us when we were little, before we were 10, in bad ways that I would never discuss with anybody else in my life except him, because he was there. That guy was ripped from me. And I found myself being behind every time. Every conversation was behind. Every meeting was behind. Every business was not getting. And I was staying in it. Thank God I was staying in it. Even though I wasn't present, I was there because it would have been way worse. But I finally just reset, restructure, refocus, relaunch. Come on, man. And I just hit the Zoom button because that's when COVID was going on too. And I jotted it down during a meeting, and I started every conversation having to take a deep breath. Okay, who am I talking to? Kathy Inman. All right, reset. Now I've got to get my mind away from this and away from that, further back, and away from this bad conversation that I didn't fulfill for them. I don't feel like I gave them I gave them my best, but it wasn't my best. And that's the deal. You don't have to be the best, but you have to give me the best now. I coach all that. What are you doing, dude? What do you have? That's what I'm telling my self-talk. So reset right now. New day, new time right now. And what really put me on point with that reset was my win list, which we'll talk later about, but it's my to-do list. What's important now? I just dove into that, and that's how you create those long-term wins and combine them with your new ones. But reset right now. Who am I talking to? Guy in ER. Bam. What was our deal? Go back to my notes. Okay, I have this with them. Good. Restructure what it needs to look like. Here's the problems that I solved with them. At 2 a.m. I was thinking about it last time since we've talked. So I'm going to restructure this, and I physically put it right in front of me. And then when we turn that go button on, or when I open that door, I got there, baby, you got the best I had. I'm not saying it was the best, but it was the best I had right then. And then when I got off a couple of calls, this is what happened. I could take you guys and set them right here, or Kathy, or whoever it was, and I could set it right here and go, I can come back to this and I can make sense of it. Boom. Reset, restructure, refocus, boom. And all of a sudden I started stacking up the things, these little wins. Just like Frances, or the lady I was coaching, I didn't tell you her name, Frances, but just like her the other day, I said, we ain't doing this. Tell me something we've done good. We had stackable wins. And then they created that moment was the win we were able to put to the side, and I was able to move forward. She was able to move forward. When we get back together, we're going to open that win back up and start from a good place. So that's kind of how the 4 R's came back, and it's been really impactful for me. And I can't tell you I've had hundreds of people. It was just not even 2 years ago, but they've come back and they said, man, I really implemented that, and it's real stuff. First of all, it's not hard. What I do, if I can do it, it's like you can do it. It's only hard till you learn it, right? But you got to at least try to put it in play. I'm not kidding you. That's somebody asked me why I go out talking and speaking, because I talk too fast, I stutter, I blah blah. I do everything backwards. But I want people to walk away from today. If I can do it, there's no reason you can't do it. Whatever it is, whatever your passion is, you just got to be able to put it in play. And we've got the blueprint to do it. And it's not rocket science.
Man, knowledge, right? It's everyone watching this and taking what you were talking about and putting yourself in Michael's perspective, or take his perspective and put it in your life and say, when were the times that I felt bad for myself? Maybe it's right now. Yeah. But you've got to have a process. You've got to do the 3 R's. You got to go amp. Talk win. Your win list. That's a big thing that ER and I implement. What's important now? And sometimes those important things change, not only every day, but every month.
They're always changing, right? I will tell you, as many hundreds of people talked about the 4 R's, I've had people come back and thank me for the win. Tens of thousands of people in about 6-8 years, Evelyn and I have been doing this, because we've had massive exposure to people all over the world. But a win list happened to me. A win list is a to-do list, basically, but it's WIN, period. What's important now? And just like we talked about earlier, you can't control the past. I can't control what's going to happen, but I can control what my actions do right now. What's important now? I was I was in another bad way in my life. I mean, I have a good life, guys. I hope you don't think I don't. I mean, I tell you all the bad stuff. And that's what my wife said one time. She goes, well, why don't you tell them about this? And you did some good things. You got all this. Why don't you tell them about it? I was like, man, I don't know. It seems that people know that they help you more. I've gotten more out of that's a perfect example right there. I've gotten more out of my struggles than I have my victories. I mean, think about that. We can turn this. I don't care how bad a failure is right now, how bad anybody's struggling right now. We're trying to keep this afloat. We're going this, robbing Peter to pay Paul. We're back around. There is an answer, man. There is an answer. We have to find it. And you got to learn from your past, but you only look back for perspective, right? And we learn from it and we put it in play right now. And then we look at the end result and then we iterate and restructure, refocus, relaunch. But the win list, what's important now, came to me right after I just lost another. I had another house, and I'd been parking my truck over at the Piggly Wiggly grocery store, so the repo guy doesn't get it. You know what I'm talking about? And he finds it anyway. My wife left me. Both my kids, she took those at the time. 2 kids, I have 3 now, but that she had left me, and I was in the courthouse, and I got served the divorce papers, and I was at all bad things. At that time in my life, at that point, I was the biggest failure, and I didn't believe I was a new man or going to be a new man. The only thing people ask me what I want. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I love being a dad. I mean, I love being a dad. I was in my truck. I was broken. I looked over down there in the floorboard, and there was a bill that had been opened just back out of the envelope. I picked it up, and I scrambled around in my truck, and I pulled a pen out, and I wrote WIN at the top of it. And I taught myself, I got to win. I got to win something today. I didn't really mean what's important now. I didn't even know that. I said, you know, my win list for the day, get gas, get a job. You know, I wasn't get a job because I felt like I was unemployable. Get gas, get some money, get my wife back. And I said her name, get my Presley back, get Trent, my son back. And then that was really it. And I went and found some way to make a little money getting gas. And then I just put but I was so broken. Everything was so bad. What's important right now? What can I do right now to breathe? What can I do right now to move forward? What can I do right now? And soon my win list started turning into something that would get me a little day runner. And I put a win at the top of that page. And then I started going through it. It went around. Now there've been a lot of iterations on it, but it's always every single morning. I've got a win list for you guys. I got a win list for my labor company, and I've got a win list here and for the people in that company. And I just jot down, it's just my little to-do list and talk to them about it. But there's people now that have made it way bigger and better. But just like everything else I do, it ain't hard. It's pretty simple, but you got to try it and tell me your results. And I guarantee you that win list has yielded big results for thousands of people. So thank you for letting me share that, man. I can't believe I didn't tell you about that earlier.
No, this I know we don't have all the time in the world.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
By the way, I got my wife back, I got both my kids back, and I got me a better house, and I got 3 or 4, 5, 10 better cars than that. So that it does work. That my wife will be happy I said that.
I will attest it does work. I will attest it does work. We implement the win list, Guy and I, individually every day in our business because it works and because we can validate that it works. And I can't thank you enough, MRN, for all the guidance, the expertise, the education that you've provided us and that we've been able to implement in our own business. When I think about the mindset of a champion, everybody, you may know Guy and I, and even Michael Ray, we're ex-athletes, right? You don't play the championship game the moment the season opens up, you know? And Michael Ray, you talked about it. It's stacking these little wins. And when you stack the wins together, I think about it like the season, the sports season, right? If you win enough of those games throughout the season, guess what? You're playing in the championship game. Like, that's what blows my mind. We have to use that in life in general and business in general, these same principles, these same processes. And this stackable little win is so powerful, so powerful. So all I want to do is I want to implore you, if you've listened to this, if you've watched this, what have you learned? What have you learned? What have you heard today in this interview? Because this is something we're passionate about here at Elify. Guy and I were joking. We said, look, if we did an interview, we entered the view of a thought leader one time a week for the next year, that's going to be 52 people. If we did it for the next 2 years, that'd be over 104 people. If we did it for the next 3 years, it's 150 thought leaders that we'd hear from. If we could enter their view and just glean one gold nugget. And I'm telling you guys,
there's a lot here.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then implemented it and put it into practice, like Michael Ray's talking about, and put it into daily practice. And then came back and I want to drop Michael Ray quotes, and inspect what we expect about the results of what we've done. Use our win list. I mean, we didn't even talk about the Wheel of Life, which was a game changer for me to have balanced success. All of these things, the trust process, they're so powerful. If you've heard just one thing, I'm going to implore you, implement it today, right now in your life. Put it in there every day and put it into practice. Have the discipline, like Michael Ray's talking about, to stick with it, and then look back, because what you're going to see is you're further along in the journey than you were when you began. Like that's what I have. That's what's rolling through my mind as we wind today's call down, Michael Ray. And obviously, Guy, if you've got anything else to ask or add, I want to give you the closing remarks. I want to give you anything you want to leave the listener with, the viewer with, from today's conversation. I know this isn't going to be our last one. I have a feeling this is something we're going to have another interview on later on, but please go ahead.
Well, first of all, guys, like I said, I think a lot of you boys, and I appreciate you giving me some time and hanging out, and it makes me feel better when I can do this. I mean, I come out feeling better. So you guys are giving me just as much as I'm giving you, right? I would say if you see something, say something. I had a guy comment on our little podcast the other day. I don't know if it went out or not yet, but I played football with him growing up. And I love your analogy about football. People don't give enough. It's not about just football. It's about any competitive environment you're in. If you're in that environment, compete. I don't care. Like my daughter's a competitive cheerleader. She's been doing it forever. She does all the flying around, doing all stuff. She is like a super competitive person. I'm very proud of her. She's showing pigs for FFA. Well, she's a vice president of FFA. She's down at a flower show right now, learned 1,000 flowers and is competing at 350 kids. But I've told her this forever, and she just won grand champion of the pig, right? I don't care what arena you step in, compete. It's okay to lose. It's not okay to try, right? So when I digress and tell you I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here, and I get excited and I get more out of it than you do. But take massive action, baby. It's not going to get easier. And Edwin Britt, my partner, said, if not now, when? If not now, when? I said it earlier, you're designed for accomplishment. You're engineered for success. And I don't know if you heard this, but you're endowed with the seeds of greatness. God did not put us here to suck. He did not say, oh, you were made, but you're going to be terrible. No, you were made, and you were in this environment that you were put in, but it's up to you. What are you going to do to get out of it? Like I said, I've learned more from my failures than I have the successes and the victories. Don't get me wrong. I like victory. I like winning. I like making money. I like being able to take care of my family. I like being able to impact people in a positive way. But I'll tell you, the growth, the journey is more fulfilling than the end. Because when you say, I got to have $1 million, got to have $1 million, got to have $10 million. When you get there, you better plan for the next 10 million, because when you get there, you're going to go, this is it. And you look back, and the journey is what's so important, man. I had the fun was in building. The fun was in the struggle. The fun is in the journey. Get your hands dirty. Go ahead and screw up. And if you need help, leave it what my dad said. If you need help, ask for it. And if you don't, prove it. And remember this, always be nice, guys. I know y'all have heard what my granny used to tell me, right? Be nice. If you can't remember anything else, if y'all go out and implement this, I'll promise you'll make a difference in people's life. Like my buddy John Varnell was watching a big football player I played with, got on my podcast, watched it for the first time, called me up. We talk about 2 or 3 times a year. And he said, hey, Michael Ray, I want to tell you, I love your podcast. You're doing great, brother. Keep going. Do you think I had a better day or a worse day? I had a better day, baby. I walked a little taller when I stood up because, hey, John heard it and he liked it. Validation, right? Well, my granny would say, if you can't think of anything else, just be nice. And if you see something, say something, because people don't always remember what you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I appreciate y'all. Play hard, have fun, make it count. Let's talk soon.
Thanks, Michael Ray. And thanks everybody for watching this interview. We'll see you on the next one.